feels like Infamous are playing into a scenario where maybe we don't match some of the big teamfight ults. Maybe we don't have a Black Hole. We don't have Static Storm. But they have enough AoE damage where the heroes that try to follow up on some of those plays will be in just as much danger as the heroes that they're trying to kill, right? If you have to march into Arena, into Acid Spray, into Macro Pyre to take advantage of a Black Hole, you could end up just losing that fight off of an initiation that you put together in the first place.
Yeah, and well, we'll have to see because I feel like Alchemist hero much more popular in other regions for kind of a good reason, just because they're much more Roche oriented. There's much more fighting around those pit areas that allows for a lot more farm in that downtime. But I just feel like Alchemist, at least in NASA, has more or less been replaced by Pudge because they fill a very similar role. They get
Mm.
1, 2 items. Of course, Alk's faster. Maybe his item timings matter a little bit less, or rather, his level timings matter a little bit less. But then you just walk over your opponents with Pudge. But the Alchemist has to farm for it. So we'll see if he can, I think, really try and fulfill that almost chaos role that Infamous absolutely want to look for. You look at their support duo, you look at the Mars, it is all just them baiting, getting vision, looking for just time basically until you could just immediately get in there with the Mars, blow open the team fight, get your kill, run away. Because as soon as you're in there for just a second too long, as we see with Disruptor especially, you get brought back. If you find your kill, if you putter around, if you're sitting around just doing nothing, the Disruptor will bring you back, and then, well, you're into Tusk Primal Beast, and then you're dead. Nothing is going to survive through him.
Gonna have to be careful, and I don't know. I like the point you were making that Pudge has kind of taken the spot of the Alchemist in a lot of strategies, but that's where Infamous are a little bit immune to the onset of Pudge's popularity. Kitaro farms. I mean, that's not really a negative for him because he does it pretty damn well, but very rarely do we see him take the hero that sacrifices farming ability for earlier fighting, right? We don't really see him as much on heroes like the Jug that Parker played in the previous match. So, in that regard, the Alchemist still sort of has the spot for this lineup in particular because Kitaro does like to just kind of AFK for a little bit and come out of the woods with some items.
Yeah, and it's a hero, I want to say, in a very similar vein as well to like the TA, where you
Mm.
farm your stuff and then it's fight time. And then in that moment, you either win the game or you kind of win the game and then you need to wait for another Roche, or it is time to be extremely scared. Because I can only imagine for Infinity here, they're going to look for a hero that is okay farming, that is going to take their time and bide their time. And no, they say, we're going to smash our heads against each other. We're going to ram into it because that is a TA. We have 2 carries that are just going to get their items, get active. TA also gives Infinity a whole lot more Roche potential. I love it because now every single hero is going to be involved in this game. We're not going to see that sacrificial style of people throwing bodies to make sure their one hero can work it out. This is complete teamwork. We are going to see those team fights.
Mm-hmm. Really, no other way to play it, and I suppose with the Alch and the TA, if no one definitively comes out with the lead after those team fights, they both do farm and scale quite nicely into the later stages. But it's not going to be just farming. It's going to be fights most of the way through. What are we doing here? The Broodmother picked up. It's going to be a switch for Sebas onto a mid Mars.
Yeah, and does that mean, okay, really different. Leo Style takes the Tusk mid. Genic is on, whoa, okay, the 4 Primal. So you've got the Primal Enigma lane. Again, still worse than the Marcy Enigma lane, I think. But, you know, new heroes are new heroes. They're still broken. They're still great. But the Broodmother is an interesting choice. Again, putting a lot onto Sebes, making it really him the only initiator for his team, that will be the only initiator until on his team until Kataro gets his BKB Blink Dagger Radiance, which, you know, it's an alchemist, doesn't sound too far away, but at the same time, we're gonna have to see a really good performance from him because you can't afford to slow down. It's in that same vein as Tiny Mid, where your BKB comes so much slower after your Blink Dagger. You need the kills, you need to hit, you need to actually land with your abilities to make that worth it. Otherwise, you do start to fall behind, and when you're falling behind, well, that's where Parker starts to take over your map. He starts to take the area around the Roche. It's where Infinity are going to be forcing you to fight them at the pit. And in those moments, Infamous has to win the team fight around Roche. Otherwise, Infinity are going to have their game plan. It's just going to work for them. It's where Leo's on this Tusk as well. he is just going to be that guy going in. They have so many natural initiators on Infinity, and Frank, he's just biding his time. He's gonna wait for that perfect black hole. I just don't want that same situation where Frank just gets to black hole Kataro every single team fight. Kataro's gonna go mad.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, different heroes with the same scenario. Frank played it in game 1, he just waited for his RP and then won fights. Get to do the same as the Enigma, and then you mentioned more pressure onto Sebas. I'm also looking over to Oscar on the Broodmother, because we've seen the Broods kind of play a slower style, right? You go for that Wraith Pact, you go for that pipe, you control your lane, you take the tower, take over the jungle, all that good stuff. But you might not be able to get away with that, because the Alk is going to need to farm and then fight. Sebas will have to focus more on some damage on a core Mars, right? So the Brood will need to actually be involved earlier and more often than I think you would normally expect.
And we'll have to see what Oscar decides to go for. And even this lane is kind of a choice for both sides, because some people absolutely love TA versus Broodmother. Others think that it's unplayable because Silken Bola is a pretty great tool against any carry that needs to right-click to deal with those spiders. So we'll have to see how much pressure actually ends up going versus him. But also, Oscar, he's got some confidence in him, because I think if I had to choose, a handful of heroes to hunt down the Broodmother, Disruptor, Tusk, Primal Beast, everybody is very adept at not only killing the spiders, but just killing his main hero very easily. They see him for a second, it's a very simple kill for the Broodmother.
Mm-hmm. You might have some trouble if they do go hunting after him, so see how he plays it. In terms of lockdown, or excuse me, not lockdown, wow, regen, he's kind of shy, right? He's got the Wraith Band and one Mango. Sladen could maybe pass something over if he does get into trouble, but Oscar's kind of assuming that for the first couple of waves, he's going to be okay and not deal with much pressure.
And well, see how this plays out on the runes. A little bit more skirmishing this time around as Oscar's trying to snipe it out and does get it, but well, he's going to eat some damage, and Genic skills it up. A few more right clicks, no kill, but again, the guy with 0 regen, salves flying out already.
Yeah, that's not a fun scenario, but at least he was able to grab that rune, as you said, so bury out some regen, should be okay. We have a pause, though. Pretty short, okay. Not sure what went down, but we are going to get back into it, and well, ET, what goes on in this lane exactly? Broodmother and Zeus. It doesn't seem to be a crazy amount of synergy. I suppose they can do some nice damage, but there's very little in the way of sort of lockdown to work.
Yeah, it's one of those number lanes where Sladen is just going to hope that his hero is good enough at trading. Unfortunately, he's playing versus a Disruptor, which has kind of always been the king of trades. So finding what he actually does in this lane is kind of difficult, because even versus the TA, Zeus is not really known to be great versus TA. He's going to snipe the range creep out, which is quite nice, and that might honestly just be Sladen's job, full stop, and even gets the TP forced out of him.
First blood does go down in the bottom lane. Frank getting punished up. Kataro goes for the unstable concoction at level 1, so a bit of lockdown that maybe the Enigma was not fully prepared for, and well, it's honestly a pretty heads-up play. Genic does not have a lot of defensive power on the Primal Beast at the moment, so are able to punish, and they knew, I mean, Frank's going to go for Demonic Conversion at level 1 because that's just what you do, so no defensive power whatsoever.
Yeah, and honestly, probably his second concoction, I can only imagine. Just the only way I can even imagine an Enigma getting that low. But it is heads up, because coming into this lane, everybody would say the reason you picked the Alchemist is to just immediately work on those Eidolons with the Acid Spray, but is very, very heads up from Kataro. Unfortunately, it is still an Enigma lane. So he still gets the wave all the way back. There is some creep kind of shenanigans going on right now. He's just making sure that the waves don't go in. And then the trade happens top, because I think top is pretty much unlaneable for Sladen. There's just not much he can do. I don't think there really is anything aside from nuking the range creeps. He might just be Bottle Boy this game.
Yeah, he only survives the first time around because he had the TP. Obviously, the second time he doesn't have it, so they do punish him. And over on the other side, Genic gets run down past his own tower, but They don't want to go any further forward. I don't think the unstable concoction was kind of cooperating timing-wise, but this lane's not going to be super fun for the Primal Beast. I mean, Frank's going to farm, because he's got the Eidolons to back him up, but I don't really see too much in the way of aggressive potential for Genic unless he's getting a level advantage, and that's probably not going to happen, especially with Frank now getting hit up. Genic has to charge in, just hoping to defend. Unstable Concoction, though, did still go off, so Frank gets stunned up. He is going to be able to fall back, but with the Liquid Fire on him and now the Dual Breath, he may still die, whereas Kitaro is going to survive. Trample at level 1 is not enough damage to get the job done. DOT did not finish Frank, but it's still going to be a win here on the side of Infamous.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. He actually got his level 2 in the middle of charging through those creeps, so he just didn't have it for the initial charge, so he didn't get that instant damage. Otherwise, maybe that looks a little bit closer, but then, of course, the one annoying thing about this Primal Beast is that with your movement speed slow, your ticks from Trample do come out slower as well, so the Dual Breath actually ends up being a real great answer versus the Primal Beast, but I have to see now, because Enigma things are still happening. You're still losing out on your range creeps pretty consistently, and under the wave,
Wow.
well, there you go.
Cadyu gets taken down. Kitaro, he's able to get off the concoction. That's nice, but he's got to just kind of dodge right now. Genic is hunting. Kitaro trying to cut his way through the trees, do a little dancing, but he's trapped. Doesn't have anywhere left to go. Doesn't have any mana to fight with. He's just trying to find some safe passage, and they actually haven't finished him yet. Final Eidolon hit was not enough. Genic will finally get the job done. The kill does go their way. Cadyu TP's back in, however, and he did his best, but there's only so much damage that Jakiro can do. The Enigma walks away. On the other side of the map, though, Sladen gets himself a little bit of revenge, taking down Prada, and they're not going to get much more than that. It's a 1-for-1 across the map, though, but if you're Infinity, you got the out kill, and you only lost a support on the other side.
Yeah, no, you're very satisfied with that. I think, honestly, all that comes down to bottom is just over-pulling a little bit there in the small camp and then getting punished for it. But where I'm looking top as well, Prada and Sladen, and I think Prada definitely oversteps here, and I think he's just dead again.
Yep.
Ugh.
Oscar will take him down. Parker now, maybe in need of some backup.
Baiting.
Connect,
Yeah, baiting
charge.
super hard.
Parker, you still got to play it kind of carefully here. Oscar could have taken him down, but the bait is good. Look at the snowball in. Leo Style says, hey. What? Okay, Oscar, that's not how that works. He's kind of glitching out there, trying to get the pathing, but he's still trapped. Not able to get himself out. Parker's the one to find the kill there too, ET, so 2-0 start for the Templar Assassin. A very timely rotation from your Tusk, and on the other side of things, if you're Sebas, I was going to say it's unfortunate that he couldn't rotate as well, but not rotating keeps him in lane long enough to hit 6. So now with the arena, maybe he can start making some plays.
Yep, that's exactly what he should do, especially if he can find his way onto the Enigma. It just would be a free kill, and not much that really anybody can do about it except for maybe trying to glimpse him away. There's just not really that much save this game versus that hero, but I'll have to see. 6 minutes are up, so of course, going to see the rotation. Sebas already has 2 bottle charges, so he's not really pressed for any of the regen, but a haste rune or a DD would certainly help, and there is a haste top, but 2 heroes there to take it, and now Genic. Dangerous man, but
yeah. Does drop the arena down. Spear stun will be there. Sebas had to fake it out like 3 or 4 times just because the hasted Primal Beast is kind of a tough target, but they find it, they get the kill. Sure, you don't have a haste rune, but you did just get a kill into the hands of your mid laner, so all's well that ends well.
And kind of poking, still watching the mid lane, but doesn't end up becoming anything. But then Parker immediately gets pressured up. Still very annoying lane. He's just doing it by the by, but I feel like we should see this game start to finally slow down a little bit. We really are just kind of bound by both the black hole and the arena timing for these teams to both make those easy plays. In the meantime, though, Parker's got some very nice stacks.
There is the benefit of having the Prada Disruptor, right? The range support's always that little bit better and more efficient in terms of the stacking game, so as you said, Parker will be able to pick up some nice last hits. He does have to wait for his courier to respawn, because it was sniped out a little while back as Cadyu gets himself picked off in the bottom lane. Frank did not have to use the black hole for that. It's just a charge in from Genic that kind of helps him get the job done, and that's a nice kill. The only problem is the excuse me, the Jakiro is down in that bottom lane by himself because the Alchemist has already started to rotate away. So you don't want to let Kataro free farm. They need to try and keep an eye on him, try and keep some pressure on where they can, but at least they can maybe start to take control of that bottom lane. Right on cue, there's the snowball, just as the Chemical Rage was wearing off, actually, so Kataro is very vulnerable, and they'll take him down.
That was way too well timed. That was just a perfect 3-man collapse, followed up by, well, an arena on the Genic. You know, poor man, loses it out in the rune though, but during all that, Parker just got a solo kill on the Zeus, who just walked on, I think, 1 or 2, maybe too many traps, and Parker got a kill there. Really great stuff right now.
Solid play out from the Infinity side, so, well, this is what you were mentioning before, that the game might slow down a little bit, and both sides, I think, are maybe slightly okay with that, but if the opportunities are going to just be presented to them like this, well, take them. Leo Style rotates bottom, they get another kill onto Katyu. Leo Style might get punished now, though. Spear will connect. Sladen's here for the follow-up damage. Kataro comes in with the unstable concoction, but the snowball... It bought some time, but Leo Style should still be dead. Kataro's going to get the last hit, and yeah, now rotating down there for just Katyu feels a little bit less valuable.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And really, Katyu, he's been, I think, the one struggling the most on his team. Just hasn't really been able to find too many easy places for him to play on. He's just been getting primaled and tusked, and, oh, that's the way you die in this game. Just a little bit too much physical damage. The tower is going down as well, which is kind of sad. I think Sebas is going to walk over and God's rebuke these Eidolons, and they'll die, but this tower falling so quickly, and the Vlad's already up on Frank. Could see them go for that collapse onto mid pretty soon here. And that's also where, if you are Sebas, every arena needs to be so careful now. As soon as that mid tower could be under threat, if you use that Arena of Blood too carelessly, sure, maybe you get a kill, maybe you get a pick off, and that gets you closer to that Blink Dagger, but it's where there is going to be a cost now for your cooldown.
Every time it's unavailable, opponents are going to move in, and I will say one thing to the threat of the tower. Oscar already took his on the other side, so that is going to make this hit a little bit less worrying, right, if you're on the Infamous side, because you have already taken your objective, and you still have Oscar working in the top lane if you want to continue to push, but yeah, the tower does still end up falling, the rebuke comes in, clears out most of the Eidolons, and, well, now we get sort of out of the laning stage into the more strategic section of the game. As you said, those cooldowns become unbelievably important for both sides, so we'll see who's willing to take a risk, we'll see who plays defensively, we'll see if Kataro does something other than farm the jungle. I highly doubt that that will be the case, as Leo Style rotates mid, he and Prada able to just bully up onto Sladen. Pretty easy kill for your Tusk, and, well, ET, what's he really working on here? He's got the Falcon Blade just about done. Is it just a Blink Dagger beyond that point, or do you think Leo Style goes for something different?
I think, you know, Blink is never a bad option. I think that's also just a freebie versus the Mars. Any single time, or any time Sebas is going to go for the kill, you just snowball him and then you blink out of the arena and you can't preempt it. But if he wanted to, you know what, now that I think about it, you're getting a Deso on TA. Yeah, he's got to get the Blink Dagger. There's no other build.
Okay, yeah. TA going Dragonlance into Deso. Somebody's got to have the movement, right?
And that will make their game a whole lot easier, but look top. Genic just dodges it out, and, well, you miss out on a kill because your Mars was just a little bit disconnected from the rest of you. Even though the supports have a little bit of a hidey hole top. Kind of hiding from the spider right now because that is still a problem. The TA, not like your Leshrac, not like your Pudge, not a hero that can just do damage regardless. So that Bola does just mean that clearing out spiders isn't really something you can do. So Oscar will take this over, or this area over, and allow Sebas to kind of run back and forth here anytime he wants to look for a kill. But Sebas is also 50 gold away from his Blink Dagger, so a smoke is very, very likely.
One last camp to clear out, and he should have it. And then we'll see just where they look to go, because they're still maintaining their presence up top. It's much easier because you have a Broodmother. She's always going to have a presence there as those shards do snipe out a couple of spiders, I guess, but Leo style kind of knowing there isn't really much of a play there. The play is mid. They're going to jump in onto Sebas. The black hole is going to go down. Prada coming in. Static Storm being deployed. They do get the kinetic just in time as well, actually. I thought Sebas might have been able to walk out, but they will find it. They use a lot for that kill ET, but it does get them onto the tier 1, and oh, that's one solution, right? How do you deal with the Mars protecting middle lane with his arena? Oh, just kill him before he throws it down.
Yeah, and that absolutely caught him off guard, and more. Another free kill. They walk onto the stack as well, and well, Kataro's here. So much damage.
Yannick does still go down, and Katyu actually died to neutrals. Okay.
And the
all of a sudden, yeah, this is starting to turn. Genic dead, Prada gone. Leo style, no snowball for 5, so he is just going to die here. And they caught the spear onto Frank as well, so the Enigma doesn't have a way out. That pig pole is wildly optimistic. No way in hell that he's getting out of that one, and well, I mean, what did that cost them? Sure, they lost the tier 1 tower, but Katyu only dies to neutrals. You get 3 or 4 kills, and Taro was able to get involved in that fight as well, so he's now done with his Radiance, and basically nothing goes right there on the Infinity side.
Yeah, just too many spells laid down at their feet, and then all the time in the world for Oscar to walk his entire army over. That was really the most startling thing, is just Oscar making it there in time, because I feel like with the way that the Mars went down so quickly, and then Sladen almost getting caught by Genic, it just felt like that wasn't even a shot. Wasn't even going to be a chance team fight, but they end up turning it, then back to business. Of course, TA was farming during that entire time, and we'll have the Deso pretty soon, and that's where we are going to see them drag their opponents over towards the pit to actually contest them, but it's a little bit worrisome. Now, you're not getting the BKB on Alchemist too quickly here. That's where the TA's Deso is just straight up coming out faster, so you will have to be maybe a little bit worried to get Kataro involved, but if you delay, if you wait until that moment, Kataro will just sit in his triangle and make it almost impossible for you to walk into the pit on the low ground.
God, it must be fun having MJZ as your support. He pulled the entire creep wave into the jungle just so that the Alchemist could farm that too and keep the Grievel's Greed stacks at maximum, so the man knows how to play a mean support game. As Leo Styles getting jumped in on here, look at the TPs though. They are not going to let this one fly. They are turning the fight immediately. Static Storm is in onto Sebas. They've got him locked in place. Genic charges his way forward. Sebas will go down. Now the snowball's going to pull them onto Katyu, and they also got the glimpse onto Oscar. They pull him back. The Pulverize is going to be there. They immediately shift targets. Okay, maybe not immediately. Half the team goes after one, half the team goes after the other, but it's fine. They get both kills, and they turn the fight.
Yeah, and now this is a free Roche. Well, sucks to be infamous, because, yeah, there's nothing you can do now. You got the tag team, you've got the Deso. Don't have any Eidolons, unfortunately, but it's not going to matter, because this is just absolutely free. And that is that big, messy fight we were talking about before in draft, where you stick around too long, you show your head. Oscar thought he was fine, and then you get glimpsed back. And then you're dead, then you feed away your kills. What feels like a 20-second advantage is now the first Roche, and the most important thing for this TA is getting those later Roches going.
Well, actually, that's kind of interesting. I was looking over at Prada. He only just now got the last point up into Glimpse. So he's been making those plays before with it at level 2 or 3 and still finding those plays. So now, got max cast range. I do not think he's really going to have the money to build anything like a lens. If he does find money, he's probably going straight after something like an Aghanim Scepter, but he has been making the plays here as Genic. Yeah, okay, he is going to go down. He was just trying to find a little bit of extra farm, working towards a BKB. Going to get taken down, but overall, he's not really worth a crazy amount, so losing him is not that big a deal. Leo Style, however, he's got to be careful. He's got to try and find some way out of this one, but he is pretty damn fast, and that spear actually kind of pushes him to safety.
Yeah, it kind of threads the needle there, but Blink Dagger's done, so something to look for, perhaps. And Katyu is in a wild spot, placing a wild ward. Does see Leo Style, though. Sees the Tusk running away, and they want to make a play for this mid tower. A very healthy mid tower, though, which is kind of unfortunate. We haven't seen that same dedicated level of chip damage that we saw Divide do earlier. Oscar's really been prioritizing his own farm as opposed to whittling down a lot of these other objectives, even though they see the disruptor. Oh, they jumped though.
Okay. Kitaro got hit up for a moment, but there's no backup now for Leo Style because Prada did get jumped in on. Genik's gonna still try to charge. I don't know about this. The spiders are in now. Kitaro is not gonna be taken down easily. He's actually turning back around. Unstable concoction thrown out. Genik will get stunned, but it feels like at this point Infamous are starting to get pushed back a little bit. Retreating to the high ground. Parker's coming in. Charge from Genik, connecting onto Kitaro. Chemical Rage running out of duration. This is still not an easy fight, though. Parker is pretty big, but he's already lost his refraction. Black Hole, let's not talk about that one. Black Hole was used, but we'll just gloss over it for the moment because Kitaro is going to go right back in onto the TA. They burned through the first life. The second life is just gone in a flash, and I'm not 100% sure how that all goes wrong, but Infinity just kind of overplayed their hands there, and they get punished heavily.
Yeah, they kind of just play into the Broodmother, and honestly, without the Disruptor to glimpse the heroes into a really nice fashion for you to take them out, Leo Style was trying to make these plays, but without the Deso build and just with the Blink Dagger, it feels like he's very damage limited. I think Oscar will get punished and will get taken out, but that doesn't change the fact that you lost your Aegis, you lost the previous fight. It does make it feel a little bit better, but at the same time, they have to be careful. They can't afford to just let themselves get torn apart like that. And I think that's a problem that will get fixed with Parker's Blink Dagger. He actually has it on him now. He didn't have it. It was in the well before, but they just need to jump simultaneously, and then that previous fight never happens again.
Right. Avoidable pretty much every time if you're Infinity. So they're probably not going to overreact. They're just going to group up, go on to Sebas. And Parker just reminds him of the damage output that he has at his disposal. Gets a couple of extra points of damage on the Deso while he's at it. So, you know, if you're Infinity, order restored. Right? No need to overreact just yet.
Yeah. No, you're not in a losing game. You haven't had a good to honest team fight just yet. Kitaro just got his BKB, so next time he is just going to run in and look to kill probably Genik, which is going to make Genik very sad, but that's where now that Roche isn't going to be a worry in the back of your mind, I could certainly see Infinity just sitting there waiting for their BKB now on both Parker and Genik, and then playing for that timing next, because well, realistically, they've got what looks like a triple BKB timing on the horizon here. I think it's Infamous that are the ones more pressed to actually make a play happen right now with this BKB and the Alk already done.
The Enigma, I believe, just finished off the pipe. That's coming out to him now, so he's queued up a BKB after that as well. So you're looking at 4 members of the team with BKBs. It's going to be rough. Of course, what is that? That is a Veil pickup from Cat-U, so that feels honestly awfully aggressive from the Jakiro, as opposed to something like maybe just a Force Staff, but there is a fair bit of magic damage, so I suppose if they're the team initiating, if those BKBs don't just shut down their push, the Veil is going to do quite a bit of work.
Yeah, and I think just very value with the Zeus. If you hit, 2-3 heroes on it, followed up by the Thunder Gods, that's another, 250 damage, I think. Rough math, but something like that. Okay, Sebas. Stealing runes.
Is he gonna get punished?
Hopefully not dying, but
yeah,
sticking around. But Leo Style is scared.
Taro. The ice shards block his path through the trees, so he ends up self-stunning. Honestly, Leo Style had already used the snowball, so if he could have gotten in for that stun, I think they might have had something. I'm not sure Leo Style even knew that that play was sort of happening, but the shards are very fortunately placed, and looks like we're just going to reset at this point as that creep just gets blown out of the water.
No, I think Walrus Punch might be one of the funniest spells in Dota. I don't know what it is about it. It's just hilarious. It's so not like anything else in the entire game. But Smoke Up, looking for a kill with the Mars. They just want a nice clean pick.
This is not looking super clean, but they don't really have much of a choice. They've got to go. Prada is going to be hit up. Glimpse is going to buy him some time. Sebas still finds the kill, though. At least he got something, right?
Mm-hmm. They, unfortunately, aren't really able to get onto any of these buildings because as soon as they show that many heroes, at least 2 of the 3 cores decide to split down the lanes. Everybody just keeps on farming. And now this really is the kind of big question of the game here. Are we going to see just everybody get a BKB, 4 BKBs finished up on Infinity here before the game actually gets started back up again? That's what it kind of feels like, to be honest.
Yeah, you're kind of hoping maybe they'd wait for one person to pick one up, right? Not all 4 simultaneously, but does seem to be angling in that direction. Genic, I believe they know you're there.
Yeah.
It is very hard for a Primal Beast to do anything even remotely approaching stealth. It's just not his forte.
Not the softest feet, but I think that also seeing him walk in there, you know, it's unfortunate. But now, the big question of the game, 30 seconds in, where are we going to see our Roche timer? Is it going to be kind? I think, honestly, the earlier the better for Infamous, just because they can still play up their item timings that they were just barely able to finish. I think then maybe they're the ones that might be able to sneak it underneath the TA's nose, but it's also where Parker really not taking any chances. He already has his BKB. Worst case scenario, he would force his team to fight with him because they know Aegis is just as important for him to actually play the game and actually feel confident hitting any of these tier 2 towers.
Well, they're kind of moving together for now. It's not a full-on smoke play or anything like that, but just trying to maintain some sense of cohesion. The other side of things, what are we looking at? Kataro finished off the AC. He's got the Basher queued up next. Meanwhile, honestly, I kind of like this Halberd play out from the Broodmother. Of course, with 4 BKBs, are you going to be able to actually hit anybody with it is kind of the question, but I mean, Halberd onto TA, she quite literally doesn't do anything for a few seconds, and that could make the difference. Hello, Kataro. Welcome to the fight. Not sure he wanted to be here. Not sure he has a choice. He is just going to try and fight his way through this. BKB popped. Chemical Rage gone. Or not gone. Going, rather. But he is somehow making it out of here. Parker is the one who now has to TP away. And, well, Infamous feel like they have an opening. Oscar is going to be able to find a kill onto Frank. They want to chase after more, though. They see Leo Style. They don't get off the stun, though, as the snowball does prevent it. But Leo Style really has no way out of here. He rolls into the ice path. They will be able to take him down. Meanwhile, in the river, Sebas still trying to deal with Genic. He juked him. No, he didn't. Okay. it was worth a try. Sebas goes for the tip afterwards. Almost worked. Almost bought him the time to TP, but at the end of the day, Infamous will win the fight.
Yeah, in complete role reversal, because now you're actually going to lose this second Roche, which is huge, honestly, for Infamous. It just gives them that much more agency. I don't know who takes it, the Shard, honestly, because I feel like Kataro is probably the best one here, just having a Dispel, but we'll have to see what they actually think. I think Sebas's is probably the best on paper, but, you know, it usually depends who wants it. But getting the Black Hole canceled is really, I think, the big thing that blew that open. Cat-Yu was just in the perfect position, just knew where to be, and it actually got canceled. At first, it looked like he didn't even get it off. That was like a microsecond black hole. He was not able to channel it for anything, but it went on CD, so there was nothing left to hold the Alchemist down. His BKB was just way too useful. There wasn't enough armor. There wasn't a punch that followed up, and that really was unfortunate because Leo Style was maybe 200 gold from his BKB, and then he could have played. Oh no,
well,
BKB TP?
Yeah.
It's got a Basher now, so that TP is not going to work anymore.
Kataro's a little bit closer, then I might just find the punish next time. Speaking of punish, Sladen will not be punished. He gets away. Jumps his way into the tree line, cancels his TP. Okay. Now, is someone actually coming up here to help him, or is he just going to try and split push out another wave or two? Looks like it might be the latter.
It'd be really funny if he just stays one more wave and then just goes down, but no, it looks like he's going to hopefully at least be a little bit careful here. But during this entire time, I mean, you calm out that Tusk and Primal Beast are top. Your teammates are just going to take over the rest of the map. It basically just tells you that mid is completely safe if you need to push it out with the Mars. So they feel confident. Now they're going to be able to push onto this tier 2 bottom. as well as Oscar finished up the Agnum Scepter. The real reason why this hero is ridiculous, the Spinner Snare, probably the most obnoxious Agnum Scepter in the game. It's just annoying. You can't see them. You walk into them. They know exactly where you are. It makes it almost impossible to play against.
It's just unbelievably annoying. And honestly, it doesn't like tickle. It's a pretty significant amount of damage, especially if there's then a hero to follow it up, right? So can't see it, you get rooted, you take damage, especially if you're the supports, you just kind of get melted a little bit, and then there could be more spiders on your ass in the next couple of seconds.
And now, well, Tier 3's dying. There's 2 heroes still not back in the base. The TPs are going to go through now, but Tier 3's gone. The punch. Kitaro still has the Chem Rage, and, well, he's just doing the permanent damage.
Yeah, defensive snowball's going to buy a little bit of time, and Kitaro should lose his first life here. They pop the Pulverize. They actually haven't taken him down. Instead, it's Frank and Prada who will fall instead, and this is not ideal. Parker is now into the fight finally, but he's going to get stunned up immediately. Ice Path forces out his BKB, but he got disarmed first. So he's got to use most of his BKB time just waiting for the disarm to end, and his teammates, well, they're not really doing so hot here. Genic gets taken down. No buyback available on the Primal Beast. Bottom lane will fall in its entirety. Infamous, yeah, they could just swing for 2. If you're not going to buy back, these death timers are not cooperating with the Infinity side, so we're going to give it another go.
Without BKBs, though, I don't know how you approach this. You would need to get your Enigma somehow into this fight, and, well, he's TPing in right now. It's Nagi has a Blink Dagger, Nagi has a BKB. He can't exactly stick it unless he finds his way onto the Jakiro, and, well, still with the Aegis for another minute 30. There's no BKB, but he feels confident. This is going to start to become a little bit of a waste, though. Backdoor is up, and, okay, they're getting punished.
Sebas gets blown up. Genic comes in. Does he have Pulverize? Well, he was trying, but he gets stunned up first. Abyssal Blade locks him down. Kitaro may still lose the first life, though. Pulverize is going to catch him. Somehow, they still haven't killed. Kitaro finally goes down, but it's only his first life. Can they do it again? Especially with Parker now in trouble. No BKB for 14 seconds. Leo Style blinks in. Goes for the Walrus Punch, though. That's going to keep Oscar off his back, and now they start to turn, looking for the damage. Get a bash of their own in. Actually, not the bash. It's the Malefice that does the job, but they still don't want to go all the way forward, knowing if we overextend here, if we die here, our buybacks are so limited. Could just be the game if they lose heroes.
Yeah, and game's not over yet. They've still got quite a lot to play for. And now with the Aegis taken out, you're not going to see Infamous just go for that same just walk down a lane strategy, even though they certainly could try it with the Glyph already down. But I think now, if you are Infinity, it's time to find everybody else. I think the Alchemist has just been taking way too much attention away from them. I think this is where you might just need to look for that Jakiro and Zeus and start taking them out first, and then the rest of the team fight pretty much falls in line. It's also where, is this going to be enough time for Frank to actually finish off an item? Because he gets a BKB, all he has to be afraid of is the Abyssal Blade on Kitaro. And Kitaro is still not buying a Blink Dagger, which is really funny, because I feel like that'd make his life a lot easier, but he's still heavily relying in on Sebas's initiation. And mid, well, they're finding the exact picks they need. Oscar is going to get slammed. Going to break the slam with the glimpse. Hopefully not a mistake, but no, that's a free kill. Parker gets it too.
Oh, man. You never know at this point. Pulverize has gone off like 3 or 4 times, and they weren't able to get the kills, but that time they hit home, and as you say, Parker's the one to get it. What's coming out to him here at this point? That is not his courier. That's his courier. Looking for the MKB, so okay. You know, there's a little bit of evasion, right? The Radiance from the Alchemist, and then I believe the Halberd for the Broodmother, so just allows Parker to actually connect more often. Some nice damage, some nice attack speed. Speaking of which, Swift Blink. One of the few heroes that I think Swift Blink is still probably the better call over compared to something like the Overwhelming. Seen a lot of other carries basically decide that the slow from the Overwhelming is kind of better than what the Swift Blink gives you, because it has been nerfed ever so slightly.
Yeah, and I think the subtle nerfs have made it a slightly more difficult pickup, but that's also where just the AoE, the blink canceling, slowing, you know, it certainly fills a role for even the counter initiators is probably the better way to call it. But that's where Swift Blink, TA, you know, that's just the way it is. But scouting ult, well, that's a first.
Well, Sladen just realizing, you know, we haven't really called his name in a little bit, decides to do something to fix that. That's a hefty cooldown for checking, but Sladen in a lot of these fights has been taken down pretty quickly as well, so you use the ult to get some information as opposed to not having that information, getting jumped, and then dying before you ult anyway.
Yeah, I think the main reason he does it is because he is completely alone bottom. He is just Mr. D push boy right now. He does have a TP to that top outpost, so he can get there, but the kickback and Cat well, slow death, but the reveal from Leo style just showing that, yeah, we're here, we can kill you. And now with the support dead, okay, they're gonna go for a smoke, and that smoke was sadly scouted out by the observer ward, but they can just march up to the high ground here and then get that D ward going and then immediately get this control right before Roche happens.
And kicked back.
Uh-oh.
Force to pop the BKB, force to pop the Chemical Rage, but look at Frank. He's waiting for his moment. Still doesn't have a Blink Dagger, but he does at least have the BKB, but they may not even need it. They just take Kataro down. His teammates don't come in time, and now Oscar, where are you going? He's got the Malphus on him. He's going to get Glimpse back in as well. They're going to catch him in the kinetic field. They're hitting him up with the damage. They're going to kick him now out of the kinetic field, but they still managed to track down the kill, and they want even more. They've spotted the supports. Cat-U and Sladen off to the side in the east. Sladen is going to get jumped in on first. Prada very nearly finished off by that Arc Lightning, but it's not going to be enough, and Cat-U actually bought back, so this is going to be even more awkward for him. It's a dieback for the Jakiro, and if you're Infamous, there is one saving grace here, ET, and that's that the Roche timer still has about 45 seconds on it, so they might be able to get heroes back up in time to contest.
Yeah, that's pretty much the only thing you can say there, because, well, you're going to lose your mid-tier 2, you're probably going to eat a little bit of damage on your tier 3, and you're not going to get equalized on racks, sure, but you're also going to have to play versus all of this control and all this vision that you're not going to have time to clear out either, because even though your cores are going to be back up, your Jakiro's still dead for another 30 seconds, and it's not like they're exactly rushing over here to make this play happen, but Deep Observer ward placed, probably looking for the fight if anybody does decide to venture over here, and now if you're Infamous, you're going to start thinking to yourself, is Roche up? Are they doing it right now? How scared should we be? Nobody's going to go towards bottom, so there's really nothing that Infinity have to worry about except for starting this Roche as soon as it spawns, and there we go. And here's going to be our team fight.
Swift Blink finished off for the TA. Normal Blink picked up by Frank, so the Black Hole suddenly becomes a much bigger threat. There's going to be another scouting ult out from Sladen that will confirm that Roche is happening, but they won't get here in time. Roshan already taken, BKB forced out of Sebas, and now Genic actually pushes in. The Black Hole from Frank is going to come through. They catch out 3. Is there any cancel whatsoever? No, there is not. Sladen's already dead. Taro dropping low. They're going to finish him off as well, and now they turn their attention to the Spider. Oscar trying to scurry away, but he's glimpsed back in, taken down, and, well, that is the exact scenario that if you're Infamous, you were really hoping to avoid. Instead, they just walk right into it, and now Sebas, he's got a TP home. Can he make it out? Oh, never mind. Pulverize wasn't back up there for another second, so he was fine, but his base, that's a bit of a different story.
No, they're just going to push in. They're going to make sure they've got that route onto the tier 2 top, so backdoor will not only not kick in, but don't even have to worry about not being able to get megas here, but they got everything they wanted. They just tried to push themselves too hard, and maybe if Cat-U's alive, that fight doesn't look quite so bad, but that was also Genic just getting 3 heroes with the charge. That was just insane from him. And now, well, there's no reason for us to leave here. They might end up going top just to clear out that tier 2 to, again, not have to worry about having to kind of go back and forth too much here, but it's also where they still have to be cautious, though. They could throw this away. They don't have Black Hole. Their BKBs are still cooling down. This would be a moment to throw if they just give a fight kind of on a silver platter here for Infamous, but that's also with the Aegis. Parker's got the buffer, got the Ags as well, so now any split push that you would want to do, well, Parker's going to deal with it.
Yeah, they are set up quite nicely. Part of the reason why, as you said, they don't feel too much of a need to try and push the envelope, right? They could have gone for a second lane of racks, and it would have gotten a little risky, but we have the advantage. This is not an unthrowable game. Let's not do anything too crazy, although Genic, Well, he decides he wants to go in, and he does set up onto Capu. Boy, this has not been a fun time for the Jakiro. 1, 8, and 15 is still a respectable stat line, obviously, but the support life is a hard one.
Yeah, now 30 seconds, that could just be the catalyst to actually bust open really anything you want. And really, the most unfortunate thing for Infamous is with the Jakiro dead and dead for so long. I think of the past 4 minutes, he's been dead for 2.5 or so. No sentries, no vision, no wards have been placed. And it's not like Sladen can really pick up the mantle either because they're physically on the Jakiro. He could drop it, he could try to shiv it around, but at the same time, Sladen's got bigger fish to fry. He just has other things to do, and you can't really afford to be that close on the Zeus. So no vision's getting placed. They're just playing in the dark. It all comes apart. Because Sebas can't jump without the vision. You don't have vision because the Jakiro's dead. Something's got to change real quick here. Because Infamous, they're losing everything right now. They are bottled up completely on their high ground.
The good news is that they do have this gem in the Mars's hands, so they've at least been able to check and deward vision coming out from the Infinity side. But as you say, they're playing blind. Just because your opponents can't see into your base doesn't make it any easier for you to try and make an initiation happen either, as they do get the kickback in the top lane. Sladen just entirely caught a little bit too far forward. But he does have buyback, however, on the Zeus. So if he is needed, he can get back in. The Thunder God's Wrath was not used, so they do have it. They are going to look for something here. They've caught Genic with the spear. Where's the follow-up? They don't really have anyone out here in time, and he just charged into Spinner Snare. That's an interesting interaction. Does he get away, though? No, he does not. Spawn Spiderlings gets the kill, but there's a kickback again. They've caught Guitar. They're going to get him with the Black Hole, pulling him in. They're going to be able to take him down right away, and there's no buyback on the Alchemist. That may just be their path in to try and end this game. Buyback came through from Sladen, so at least the Zeus is back in here with whatever damage he can apply, but the cores are just getting bullied. Kickback onto Oscar, pushing the Broodmother out of her own base. The rest of the team desperately trying to hold the line, but I don't know. They're not really getting too much. They were at least able to isolate and finish off Leo style, but Oscar still falls. Sebas is now in trouble. He's going to lose his BKB in a few seconds, and I'm not sure that he's enough. Oscar, though, does buy back, so... Well, your Broodmother's back in, and... ET... I don't know. Infinity are showing a nice bit of restraint here. They don't go chasing into the fountain. They fall back. They regroup. They take the racks. They're going to get the megas. Because if they pushed forward, I don't know, maybe things get a little bit crazy there. But instead, they stay disciplined, and now this one's going to be pretty damn hard for them to blow. Unless Parker... Wow, never mind. Parker's the one doing the bullying. Jesus. Just absolutely annihilate Sebas. There's a buyback available on the Mars. Will he use it? He may not have a choice here, because his teammates, they're just getting really pushed around. Sladen's at least able to survive. Pulverize does not get the kill, but Oscar's the one who falls, and... Well, Oscar's the one who had already used his buyback. Oh, Parker. Parker, that's a problem. That is...
Huh.
Well... That just kind of falls into Infamous's lap there. It will put a stop to the push, finally. A lot of damage gets done, but...
We do a wee bit of throwing. We do a wee bit.
A little bit.
Because, yeah, that's pretty darn bad. You know, you give Sladen a whole bunch of gold. He's level 20 now. He's got an Ags now. You know, Sladen's on top of the world. He's got nothing really left to lose here.
Huh.
And that was with the Alk respawning as well. And Kitaro's got a full Hex. I mean, maybe this game's just getting started.
Well, I don't know. If you're Infinity, you're hoping that this is just something that doesn't matter and you can close out the game anyway, but... A little bit surprising that their timing was so weird with the Aegis. Nobody was really calling it out there until it was too late, so... I don't know. Is a comeback imminent? I don't know if I'd go that far, but you have given Infamous room to breathe, and you've given them hope. In a situation where before, ET, it seemed pretty clear-cut. You know, they're just going to clear out the racks, they're going to get megas, and they're going to be in the dominant position. Now you're not quite as sure, because... I mean, Kataro's trying to push, and we go back to 10 to 20 minutes ago, the bottom lane of racks had already been cleared out earlier, too, so... Things could get a little bit dicey at this point. Infamous, however, not willing to go for the suicide push up the ramp, respecting the sort of respawn timers on the other side.
Yeah, and really all it takes for this game to end is a smoke that leads to either the Broodmother or the Zeus's death, and then, yeah, that's probably all she wrote here, as they're probably your two strongest defenders right now, but that's where we have to see them perform. Parker, he's working on the waves, still doing his due diligence on the TA. He actually can't be with his team right now. If a fight did break out, the closest trap he has to them currently is just at that top wave. So we've got an awkward situation here. And, well, yeah.
Yeah, they make the jump in. Leo Style gets caught in the arena. This is starting to get a little bit more and more concerning. He does have buyback, and they did just take the outpost, so if it does come down to another fight, he can buy back, and presumably, yeah, he's holding a TP scroll. But, okay, Sebas, I like the instincts, just not quite the timing, but, oh, Parker! They caught him. The Macropyre is there. It's an upgraded one as well, so Parker just has to try and get away. He is going to be able to use that projection to get out, but while he was making his escape, Kataro found another kill onto Genic, so Infinity are kind of starting to bleed a little bit here, right? 2 heroes down, all of a sudden they're playing back on their own side of the map, and momentum is shifting a bit.
Yeah, now, well, you're really going to be kind of upset that before you thought you could glyph and just kind of reset. You don't have glyph. So this is going to be your Mithrax probably just straight up going down here. And sure, up on the high ground, and that's an Ag Static Storm, but no follow-up whatsoever. And there's the BKB, there's the Black Hole.
Look at the damage, though. They're just going to melt through them. Okay. Prada basically acting as the bait, faking them out, making them think they were safe. Instead, they pull the trigger on the trap, and... Okay. Prada, I apologize. I did not have faith. I should have, and... I mean, Infamous thought, oh, you know, what a mistake our opponents have made. Now we can take advantage of it. No, you're dead.
Well, it still did cost him a buyback, you know. It did end up being Leo Style just being there just in case, and they didn't get the Zeus, but killing the Broodmother is massive. This will also force out the Alx buyback just for them to hold, and Roche is up in 15 seconds, so, you know, they can really decide to bide their time here and force the Alk into an awkward spot if they don't just want to send it right now, but we'll have to see. I'm assuming as soon as Parker sees it, though, could just see him say, okay, guys, let's do this real quick. It's going to take about 10 seconds. They are all set up for bottom, though, and with Black Hole up in 45, well, they've got a choice to make here. It's Parker, well, he's going for it.
Glyph popped, though, so the progress will be slowed a little bit. Shakiro's up in 5, 20 seconds for Oscar, and Parker says, okay.
Yep.
Let's go grab this. Who takes what here? There's an Ags available, but Parker's got his, Prada's got one.
Probably Primal.
Let's see. Style takes the Aegis as well as the Refresher. Genic is going to grab... Well, he grabbed it, but he actually passes it off to Frank, I believe, so... Got an upgraded Black Hole to work with.
A lot more damage, and it does do the AoE pool, as, you know, they moved that off the Ag Shard, but the Refresher Shard being on Frank is honestly the more important aspect here, because there are 2 Black Holes to deal with, there's 2 BKBs to deal with. Really, the only thing Frank can do to kind of mess this up is if he gets greedy and gets killed off in the middle of a Nimbus stun, something like that, but they're in a fantastic position to close this one out. They just got to land on anything. In Leo Style with the Aegis, I mean, he can go crazy. He can go as deep as he really humanly wants at this point.
Yeah. Not a whole lot that's going to be able to actually fully punish him. Maybe you get his first life, but if you get the first life, then you group up to try and take him down a second time. That's when the Enigma introduces himself to the equation. So you either back off or you group up for a Black Hole. Neither really appeals much to Infamous, but they've got to try and do something at this point, right? They've got everybody up. They still have a cheese in Sebas' hands from the last Roche attempt. They never actually ended up using that, so that could end up being relevant. Sebas is going to be able to absorb maybe a little bit of extra damage here.
And here we go. Genic got the rock throw. He's kind of spamming it because it makes a noise, which is kind of funny. Aside from that, though, they're still taking this low and slow in a DD. Oh, Leo Style's got it. got it bottled up as well, so he's ready to go. I think they really are just trying to be as cautious as possible. Top lane's going to push in with carts in a second, though, so if there was ever a timing for them to go with their creeps, it'd be pretty close to about now, but can honestly feel the hesitancy from Infinity. They don't want to throw away their game here.
But while they wait, there's just so much wave clear that Infamous have to work with, so it's not going to be easy to get themselves in here. But what do they have? Leostyle can get the blink kick. Other than that, I don't think you'd feel comfortable having Frank just blink up to the high ground for some sort of black hole play, so I really just kind of feel like Leostyle has to do this himself.
And here we go, on the wave. Still radio silence, and Rock won't connect, so the waiting game persists.
Parker just got glimpsed, or not glimpsed back, rather speared back. This is, oh my god, this is just bad. They lose him right away. Did he BKB? No, he did not. He thought the Lincolns would be enough, but they popped it quickly. They find the kill. Frank now gets rooted. He's going to be forced to activate his BKB, and that's really only like one of a handful of scenarios, if you're Infinity, that you could not afford to do there. They end up kind of making a little bit of a misplay.
Yeah, they just, I don't even want to say get greedy, but that's why they don't want to just blink up to the high ground. It's because these spinner snares are so obnoxious, but at the same time, are you going to re-navigate through the mid lane? Do you look to kill the brute top? It's just them being a little bit too much static in that scenario. And then, of course, being focused on one lane towards bottom, Oscar knows exactly where he needs to put these webs to make it impossible for you to approach. Just, I think, a little bit of stubbornness there from Infinity, just not wanting to go for the more dynamic play. And of course, during daytime, it gets 10 times easier because you can actually see your opponents. You get a flash of vision from the creep waves, and then maybe Leostyle feels more comfortable making that initiation, but just sucks that the TA had to die before that call would be made here. So Leostyle, where are you going?
Okay.
Out.
They did kick Sebas out. He's holding that cheese, though, so this is, I don't know what this is. This is getting a little bit weird. Static Storm, though, deployed to the east. Frank, though, is getting bashed up. Can he get some sort of black hole playoff? Yes, he can. Black hole coming through. Kataro's going to get caught, but he does have an Aeon Disc. That's going to keep him alive, but second black hole going to come in. They can't cancel that one either. Kataro, though, still not dead yet. They have to finish him off, but they can't actually do it. Genic and Frank will fall. The Aegis is lost. Kataro is still not dead. He's past the cheese. He'll eat it now. Leostyle in trouble, trying to do something with the snowball. Parker, meanwhile, getting involved in this fight, trying to push their way forward. They have to kill this Alchemist. They will finally do it, but he immediately buys back. Spear onto Parker, locks him down. They're going to drop the Nimbus on top of him as well. But the snowball, some room to breathe, maybe. Parker's still in some trouble, though, trying to get himself out. Can he somehow survive? Another snowball coming into play. What is the cooldown on that thing? Jesus. 7 seconds. He is using it as efficiently as humanly possible, and it does manage to get Parker away. Prada can't say the same. He will be taken out, but I don't know. A strange scenario there, ET, because there is a buyback expended from your Alchemist. That is huge. There is now a way to just kind of shut down the resistance if they could kill him again, but the loss is on the other side, right? That's two or three heroes dead. That's your Aegis being used. That's the Refresher Shard coming into play. So you had 2 black holes there, and they still really don't win the fight in the way that they needed to close out the game.
Yeah, and you bought back on your Enigma, so, well, Frank can't afford any more deaths, even though during that entire engagement, it felt like they were just trying to kill the Alchemist with black hole damage alone, which, of course, did not pan out, ended up being a completely messy, disjointed fight, but at least you have the buyback over the Alchemist. You have buyback on your TA, you do not have buyback on Kataro. If there was ever a moment for you to just kind of slam your face at him, just run at him, try to make that kill happen, then, well, the time is probably soon, but now I hate to say it, but I'm afraid we're gonna have to wait for this next Roche.
Hooray. Always one of the most fun phrases to say in Dota. Let's wait for Roche, but I mean, at this point, 51 minutes into the game, it becomes quite a bit more understandable, but it just feels kind of awkward. Still a 22k net worth lead on the side of Infinity. You'd think they'd be right on the verge of kind of slamming the door in their opponent's face here, but it's not really the case. They've just got to play so hesitant here because they had their chances earlier on and they didn't make the most of them.
Yeah, and really, I'm just wondering, where do we go for, let's say, Parker? He's sitting on 10k gold in his backpack. He still needs to buy his moon shard, you know? It's where you got so many things for free. Time to, I don't know, start getting maybe Venmo over to Frank, you know, get him some items. Yeah, the rest of the lineup is not really up to snuff right now. It's where the complete opposite, I feel like, is panning out for Infamous, where just your 3, 4, 5, and I guess your Mars instead of your 3, 4, 5. Everybody is just gaining more and more net worth and getting more and more useful, especially the Mars in this situation. I think Sebas. I just heard the ag sync noise. So he gave himself an ag. Oh, cool.
Yeah, okay. He ate his... I thought he was giving it to Sebas there and did not see it.
I think Sebas thought that too.
I was like, wait a second, I don't have bulwark upgrade. What's going on here? But I wonder if that was intentional or not. Maybe it was an accident. Either way, though, even though he gives it to himself, he does get the bonus for having given an ags away, which that's not supposed to be how that works. You get a bonus for giving a gift to your teammates, except you can give the gift to yourself and still get the bonus anyway. It's not really how gift giving works, but whatever.
It's wax and Fogic, as they say. But 25 seconds on the Roche. This is your moment. Parker is skulking. Sladen.
Oh, okay. They're gonna try it. This is gonna cost them a lot of effort, though, to get this kill. Sladen was able to really draw them out, so there is a chance, but there's gonna be the black hole. They're on to Kataro, but he's able to be saved by his Aeon Disc. That's gonna keep him alive for now. There's the second black hole, though. They need some sort of cancel, but they don't have it. Kataro going to go down. No buyback available. Sebas, though, trying to get some damage. Oscar coming in as well. Desperately hitting onto Parker as hard as they can. It's just not hard enough. The snowball's gonna come in defensively. It's targeting Sebas, so they will stun him up. Can they finish him off, though? No, they can't. Parker's the one to die. Leo Style going down as well. And all of a sudden, Infinity, they've done it again. They've just kind of blown their opportunity. Buybacks now will come out in force, but the moment has passed. There's really not as much of an opportunity. Sebas goes down eventually, but he has buyback.
Yeah, and well, Parker kills him with the traps, I think, is why the XDs are coming out. But they are saying that with this Aegis, with this next Roche, this is going to be the end of the game. Of course, the Ags is finally Genix, but if they do not end in the next 80 seconds here, this is where the game will completely flip. This is where every buyback turns against you, and this is the desperate hold. The desperate hold versus the desperate end.
Yeah, this next fight is, this is it. It's all or nothing at this point. I don't think there's any more time to dance around it. As you said, if the out comes back up, you have lost your advantage entirely. You've got to go. They're making their way bot. At this point, if you're Infamous, do you let this Rax go? Do you sacrifice going up against Megas to try and buy that extra time? Well, I'm not really sure what the answer is, because Infinity, they took the tower and then they didn't really go for much more than that. So time is being bought one way or another. 35 seconds for the Alchemist. If you are Infamous, you are just trying to wait as long as humanly possible. They've already thrown down the Nimbus ET. They're slowing him up here with the Spinner's Snare. I mean, it's only 20 seconds at this point. The Alch will be back. The game cannot end before he respawns. It just can't.
They're even glyphing for the racks, and well, there goes Genix.
They got the Spear into Parker. Defensive Snowball, though. Okay, that's going to keep him alive. Where is Frank in all this? He's still dead. Right, that's not super helpful position-wise. So, well, twice now, it feels like they had the fight. They had the moment to close this out on the side of Infinity, and both times they're not able to close the door, so Kataro's back up, he's back in, and the only buyback that currently exists is in the hands of Oscar. So we'll see a very aggressive Spider in the next fight for sure, because he's got 2 lives to work with, but other than that, it's just the Aegis that would keep Parker in this.
Yeah, and that's also where minute and 20 on the Alchemist. He'll be back up. A minute on the Jakiro. His is going to be back up. It's just the danger zone now with whether or not you think you can play. Frank will have his back up, funnily enough, because, of course, he traded it with the Alks 7 minutes ago, but that's where it still feels like they're very beholden to Frank to just actually find that kind of game-ending black hole at this point. But now with the minute left, I feel like they've spent all 4 of their buybacks just to get this Aegis for Parker. And when the game finally decides to kind of settle down here, well, any initiation, any kill that Sebas can find, that could just be game over. It could flip completely on its head. And this is a moment where your opponents don't have glyph. You would like to go for tier 4s now. You don't care about bottom racks anymore because there's no glyph for 3.5 minutes. But I think they're going to get scared off it again.
And I mean, we were asking the question, right, of do they let the racks go to try and buy time for the Alchemist? That question just gets removed from the table entirely, and I think one of the best parts is this bottom lane is the last one they have to defend. The bottom lane is a lane of racks that Infamous themselves took like half an hour ago, so it's gonna push in their favor the whole way through, which is part of the reason why, as you said, your Infinity, maybe the next time around you do just go for the tier 4s and ignore it, but at this point, ET, that next opportunity isn't even guaranteed. They might never get into the Infamous space again, depending on how this next fight plays out.
Yeah, and, well, with minute 30 on the Aegis, well, then your timing's gone. I'm also just sitting here looking at Parker's inventory. You know, some people say that carries hit critical mass at 6 slots. This is a new level for me, honestly. I think it might be time to get rid of the Deso. I don't know. This is the most jacked backpack I think I've seen in a while.
Yeah, I don't really know how you manage this at this point. I mean, obviously the Aegis getting reclaimed will free up 1 slot, but how would you even...
You blink in, you swap out the Swift Blink for the Silver Edge, you Silver Edge, you swap that out for the Refresh. You know, there's no good way to do this.
Yeah, there's a 6-second cooldown on all these swaps too, right? So I don't know. It might be a situation where you would have to actually back out of the fight entirely to get off the Refresher, and if that's your game plan, how exactly do you think these fights are going to play out, I guess, right? Because having that much time and space, if you have that much, you're basically winning the fight anyway.
Oh, Roche about to get reclaimed in 20 seconds here, and then we're back on the wait. See whether or not the next Roche is going to be up soon, but I think more important than the Roche at this stage, as we actually do see Infamous smoke out here. 60 minutes coming up. That's where those game changers all come into play. Your Force Boots, your Mirror Shields. Mirror Shield probably the biggest one. That's probably the most game-breaking one, I think. Just such a grief one, actually. I hate Mirror Shield so much. Makes me so angry. Even the Necro book can be kind of a powerful game changer for anyone. In this game as well, Fallen Sky for the Mars, just having that chain stun. I mean, 50 seconds away. It feels like it's just going to happen now. There's no question about it. And with buybacks coming up as well, we're going to get back to that fine line.
Fight is effectively going to get reset in its entirety. We'll see what the tier 5s look like, and I don't know. I remember
See you later, nerds.
Another situation where there was a core Tusk and a Mirror Shield, and things ended up going very, very poorly for the team with the Tusk, as Parker, yeah, he's going to be able to get himself away. Taro, did he not have the vision? Because he had an Abyssal.
Yeah, just wasn't able to follow up. A little peculiar, for sure. But, okay. Walks that one out. Maybe a stroke of fate.
In the meantime, now checking back in on the buybacks. Those cooldowns are all getting low, but the ones who already have theirs off cooldown kind of spent their money. Frank in particular here went for this Shadow Blade, so I don't know. At this point, I feel like if a Blink, a BKB, and a Refresher isn't enough for you to get the black hole play that you want, Shadow Blade's probably not going to fix that, but whatever. He's already bought it. Sebas, meanwhile, went in for the pick. He's able to find Prada. No buyback available on that Disruptor, but now Sebas needs some help. He's going to be able to refresh his Blink, gets back up onto the high ground, and the Snowball, well, he was still BKB'd, so the Snowball actually doesn't affect him, and now Leostyle has to try and back off. Turns around for the Havoc Hammer, now goes for the Snowball play, gets the kick back onto Kataro, pulling him into the fight. Frank getting bashed up, though. Not able to get his first black hole out, now he'll deploy it. Kataro, though, well, he's not going to go down all that easily, but it looks like they will get him with the second black hole. Kataro will fall, buys back immediately. Meanwhile, the Broodmother caught in that black hole, but they don't manage to take him down. He still had his Aeon Disc up and running, so he is going to be able to survive. And the fight will reset, but Well, I don't know. You force out a buyback from your Alchemist. That is big, but that costs you both of your black holes. That costs you Prada being taken down. He does have enough money for buyback now, but there are no free plays anymore, ET. Nothing comes without a significant cost attached.
Yeah, and, well, thankfully for Infinity, all of their buybacks are going to come up at the same time as well. Their 4 buybacks have been weighted out, so something to play for. Parker actually has to farm his, you know, he's only has a 6,000 gold buyback, you know. Shame on you for anything else. But let's see now, because depending on the Roche timer, there's almost no way for them to actually contest this Roche. It's 70 seconds out for 2, 60 for 1 black hole. So let's see, is Roche going to be kind to Infamous or Infinity? And it's going to be kind to Infamous. They should be able to scout this out as long as somebody is near or around the pit. It's going to be the second tick, though, so they just need to make sure to not walk too far away and actually wait out that timer. But this could be now a free Aegis for your Alchemist, who doesn't have buyback, but might have that to play around with now, so...
Oh. Picking up some big items there, too. An Apex drops, a Fallen Sky is going to come into the picture, so... Okay. Tier 5s, as you mentioned, always game changers. There really has not been a game where the Tier 5s drop where they don't have some sort of impact here, but we'll see how this goes down. Roshan has respawned. They will get the vision on it in just a moment. Meanwhile, all the respawns come through on the opposing side, and if they wait a little while longer, the double black hole will be there, but the Roche attempt is already potentially getting underway as Genic. He got himself caught, but he's got a Giant's Ring, so he is far from an easy kill. Defensive Snowball is going to keep him safe, but this does mean they lose control of this high ground vision spot, which makes the Roche attempt a little bit safer, and they are going to go for it.
And it's going to be a very big Primal Beast, but they're getting owned by the webs a little bit here, but Prada, in!
Static deployed. Leo Sal comes in. The black hole's going to be there. Kataro dropping. Can they finish him off? They get him with a pulverize. There's going to be a second black hole. Kataro's going to get taken down. Sebas falls as well. That might be it. That might just be enough. Oscar's going to get glimpsed back into the fight. They have to bring him down as well. Meanwhile, Parker, he's just going after Roche, but when the spider shows up right next to him, he is going to turn around for the damage, and he does manage to find him. So, Oscar dies. Parker, though, was standing in the macro pyre, so he actually goes down. Leo Style grabs the Aegis, dies immediately. I have lost the plot here. That's a second arena being deployed by Sebas. He's going to get the spear stun onto Leo Style, just trying to find his way out of it, as he'll throw down a third arena. And Sladen comes in from the rafters with the Thunder God's Wrath to find the kill. What in the world is happening right now? They are still somehow fighting their way through this, but it looks like eventually the resistance will be broken. Sebas goes down, Sladen will fall, and that might be the end of it. Oscar's just going to try and TP back to the base to defend what's left. I don't think they can buy the time this time around, though. 70 seconds for the Alchemist. The Zeus can get back in. Right on cue, there he is. But how do they do this? Just 2 heroes to hold. I suppose there is no Aegis on the opposing side, but I don't know if that matters.
I think this might just be it, but I think this is solidarity for the triple arena, you know. Sladen's gonna go down. I think the GGs are probably gonna fly any second now, but what a game. I mean, I don't even know what to say at this point. Yeah, it was going to be our final death. I think the GGs will fly as soon as, it's over. But really, crazy stuff, even at the end there. Of course, the arenas look great, but also just everybody dying to the pure damage macro fire at the end. I mean, eventually, at least it came down to a fight in the Roche. You know, nobody was passive. Nobody was able to really stand on their own high ground. They knew what their win objective. They knew that they didn't want to play versus another Aegis on the TA, but good 2-0 from Infinity. After that game, you know, feels a little bit strange. I mean, 55k net worth TA. I mean, ridiculous stuff. That was a 61k net worth TA before he had to buy back, but you know, that's the way it goes. But man, oh man, what a game from Infinity.
They show a lot of grit, a lot of determination, because things got very, very concerning in this late game. Obviously, it goes past 60. Tier 5s could have really done a number on them, but they're able to hold out. I'm sure they would have very much liked to have ended this game, 15, 20 minutes ago, but the fact that they sort of stay on target, the fact that Frank does not lose focus, right? He was still able to get his black holes. And ET, looking at the scoreboard, I think the thing that really pushed it over the top for Infinity was the 5 blink daggers that the Tusk picked up. I don't remember that part, but, you know, according to the scoreboard, all he had all game long was just 5 blink daggers.
Yeah, and force boots.
There you
And
go,
force boots.
5 blink daggers and force boots.
No, and to that same point, it wasn't just 5 blink daggers on the Tusk, it was 5 blink daggers on the whole team. Everybody had a blink dagger, and I think that really was the big difference maker in this game, is just the amount of natural initiators on the entire lineup, everybody kind of playing with each other and just having that instant damage. Because there was a world where Infamous, you know, looked pretty bad after that first Aegis. Remembering back to that fight where they go 0 for 6, they lose the Aegis, they don't play around their BKB timing. But then I think Infamous really made a mistake by just giving their opponents just a little bit too much time. And of course, you know, the game keeps going. They punish Frank quite heavily for just not having his BKB as soon as the rest of his lineup. But then they get past it. Then Frank starts feeling himself. Frank starts finding his own BKB black holes. And I think his decision making is really what kind of propelled them forward, as well as Leo Style definitely feeling more confident and getting a good few of those kicks that resulted in both the mid and the top racks, which ended up blowing up the game. But man, I think the takeaway really is just Broodmother. What a dumb hero. That Aghanim Scepter is just ridiculous. There's no way that bottom, whatever. They didn't have an Alchemist for 60 seconds, and they held that because Zeus, Broodmother, you know, Infamous are dirty. They're going to do this to some poor NA team, and somebody's going to be mad. That's all I'm saying.
They're not going to be ready for it, but Infinity's players have certainly seen that strat before from the Infamous side. This time, they're able to get past it. So they start off with a 2-0 win. A very big 2-0 win as well against a regional rival. Now, though, we immediately throw them back into another test. Congratulations, you won a 60-plus minute game. That's great. Now get ready for another one, because they're going to be playing up against DogChamp. They do at least get to switch from an NA or SA to NA opponent here, so it'll be a little bit of a different vibe, but we are putting Infinity to the test here. They are hoping really for the chance to come out of this with 3 or 4 points on day one and really just put some separation between themselves and every other team in the field.
No, for sure. And well, we'll have to see, because well, Infinity, you're going versus Brood players to Tinker players. So let's
boy.
go. Let's see what else Infinity are gonna have to deal with tonight.
Yeah, RCY is just sitting there waiting, just saying, oh boy. Man, they were willing to let a Broodmother through. What do you think I'm going to get away with? It's gross. It's very gross, but we'll see. That game 1 draft is going to be coming your way in just a little bit. We may have a slightly longer break here if Infinity opts to take a little bit of extra time because they're playing the back-to-backs. So somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes will probably be the call for you, and gives you a little bit of time to grab something. Some food, a drink, I don't really know, but hurry back because we will have Infinity versus DogChamp coming up in just a little bit.